Hello everyone, DJ here. Welcome back to the channel, and yeah, today is the day. They finally dropped the footage for the 2026 Thomas and Friends reboot. Specifically, the movie they're doing, Thomas and Friends Railway Stories Really Helpful Engines. And it's coming to YouTube on September the 17th and Netflix September the 30th. So I thought I'd kind of just jump on here and sort of give my initial reaction. I gotta say, this is sort of like exactly what I expected and exactly what I was not expecting at the same time. So let's just kind of go through it, I guess. I think a lot of Thomas fans, myself included, were really hoping for a more faithful adaptation of the source material, that being the Railway series and the Classic series. That unfortunately does not seem to be the case here, at least in terms of like some of the finer details. But in general, this does seem to be a step in the right direction. And that's evident just from the first couple minutes of watching it. I think it goes without saying that by this point in the kind of media sphere that Thomas exists in, it's kind of impossible to do a fully faithful adaptation. And I saw a tweet this morning, I forget who tweeted it, so whoever you are, I'm not stealing your idea, I'm just saying kind of what I read, because it made sense to me. They were talking about the fact that this feels like sort of a smushing together of every era of Thomas, from the Classic series to All Engines Go. And that actually does make a lot of sense, because watching this trailer, it does feel very All Engines Go coded. And that's very evident in, the fact that there's kids' voices, the fact that the engines are bouncing. But honest to gosh, other than those two things, this looks really freaking good. The animation style, first of all, is great. It's kind of the perfect blend of storybook and CGI. I'm not super used to it yet, and I think that's only because we had so many years of CGI that was relatively consistent from 2009 to 2024, at least in terms of style, or 2020 in terms of style. But looking at this trailer, it's pretty evident that they're actually trying. We have, like, engine drivers back in the cabs again. We have humans everywhere. This looks and feels like a real railway somewhere. Now, I will say, they do seem to be implying some geography here, which I think is really cool. I think we're actually going back to a more realistic Sodor, which is pretty nice. And again, it's just so refreshing to see. I mean, yes, they do kind of bounce around. It does kind of feel like Chuggington a little bit, but it's nice to see that they actually do function like a railway. They're not just literal cartoon characters. Now, again, I'm obviously not the target demographic for this, and again, we're never going to go back to the show we had, but this is very clearly a step in the right direction, and it's a step that needed to be taken for a very long time. I think, if anything, I kind of just need to actually watch a couple episodes of this to kind of get my bearings with it. Because this trailer is basically the first bit of actual footage we've gotten, and it's more of a sizzle reel. I will say, the bouncing does look a little more consistent. I've never been a fan of it, but at least now every engine is kind of doing it, and it's not like they're breaking the physics of the engines to do it. Like, with Thomas bouncing doesn't look that terrible. Gordon moving doesn't look terrible, because they've detached certain parts of the engines in certain areas to not make it look like visual cancer, which is really nice. So, I mean, that's really good. At least they're, being consistent. Some of the new characters, like that crane truck, looks interesting. It's kind of neat that it looks like they're seemingly trying to modernize Thomas, but keep to its roots. And I don't know, there's just something nice about that. I was saying this to a friend of mine earlier today as well. The fact that, it seems to be that they're having a lot more diversity in terms of the engine drivers and whatnot is pretty cool as well. I mean, when was the last time you saw a female engine driver or mechanic in Thomas? Like, never. You never did, because it just didn't exist. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, like, I mean, this is just, it's a step in the right direction. The merch is firing again, the show is. I'm still not a fan of Percy's face, but that's, whatever. I think this has potential. I think we might have a bit of a rocky start with its first season, but I think given how they've been pushing the new toys and how this show is basically doing what people have been suggesting for ages as far as it being on YouTube, like, the whole thing being free on YouTube is a great step in the right direction, first of all. That's an amazing step. I'm really happy about that. Because one of the biggest issues for Thomas for ages was the accessibility of the content. You either bought it on DVD, or you had really crappy access to it on streaming, at least at first. Now, streaming is better, but, like, Amazon Prime is basically the only spot to view Thomas almost in its entirety. God forbid you try and look at the hit era anywhere. But yeah, no, just looking at this, I can tell that this is actually something that there's care put into, there's effort put into. The engines look like themselves. They move in ways that don't immediately, like, you know, throw you for a loop. We're already seeing classic characters back, like Farmer McCole. That's amazing. So, like, all in all, other than the kids' voices, that might take a while to grow on me. But this does seem like a step in the right direction. I think what might honestly really sell this is the amount of older characters they're wanting to put in. Like, we know from the merch reveals that characters like Rheneas and Bill and Ben and, I want to say Salty, like, there's a lot more characters to come out of this. So I think once we see those new characters, and once we see the world of Sodor kind of come to life in this new format, then I think it'll be a lot easier to get through. And it'll grow on me a lot more. It's just that right now, you know, it's taking a little bit. I'm just kind of flipping through the video on mute here while I'm talking, so I kind of have my points. But yeah, so to sum up, not a huge fan of the kids' voices, not a huge fan of the bouncing, but in general, this looks much more consistent than what we've had. It looks much more like Thomas compared to what we've had. And I think this will be something that I think will land with both older and newer generations of the fandom. So we'll see how this goes. And obviously, you know, you don't want to judge something before you even see it. This is just a first reaction. I'll definitely be doing a review of this film and the first season once it comes out. But until that date, those are my thoughts on the Thomas and Friends Railway Stories Really Helpful Engines trailer. I'm kind of glad, too, that the reboot has a name now, Railway Stories, and that's fitting. That's really fitting. You can tell that Mattel, of course, is seemingly trying now. But thank you all for watching. Please leave your thoughts in the comments as far as what you think this Thomas and Friends reboot is going to be like, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!